Hello, welcome back. I'm Miniature Mike, and today we're going to do Jedi Academy. If you haven't checked it out yet, please go back and take a look at Imperial Entanglements. That's the last set I just barely did. This is the third set of the 40-piece basically sets that they did towards the end of the Star Wars Miniatures run, and this is actually one of my favorite ones. I really like it a lot. I like some of the unique characters, some of the respins of some of the characters that they've done. And also, I'm a big fan of the video game Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, and there's definitely a few nods to that game in here, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, let's just kind of jump right into it for sure. First one, so I'm not using the card since there wasn't a card available on the Rebel Scum Photo Archive, but this is Grandmaster Yoda, and I really like this Yoda a lot. I was kind of trying to figure out if he was A or S tier, but I'm going to put him in S tier. I think this is the best Yoda you can use in the game for sure. He's not overpowered though, but he's very strong. So great stats for a Yoda. He's awesome. I do like how Ataru style mastery is kind of conditional. So if he's kind of like doodling one person, he's very effective and very good. It may be less good if there's groups of people. I think that's an interesting kind of take on it, or interesting kind of way to. I don't know if you want to just kind of change between power modes or whatever. I do really like that a lot. And then he's got a lot of good stuff going for him. I know the one knock against this Yoda, you could say, is that he's missing the classic, Master of the Force 3 or whatever, which is good, but he does have 3 Force, he has Force Renewal, and then he has the standard Force powers you would want. He has lightsaber defense, that's great. He's got Force defense, which is also great. Expensive, but really powerful. And then, given some time, you can charge up enough to be able to do good. I might actually, the more I think about it, the fact that he is missing Master of the Force 3 does maybe hold him back a little bit, but we'll see. Lightsaber Throw 3 is a great range power. That's a good one. And then his commander effect is great. Followers within 6 squares get 3 attack and 3 defense. It's a really solid commander effect. So with him, I do think that might actually be somewhat of an issue, because if the enemy does kind of play around him, maybe they try to bring several people at him at once, then he is only working with double attack, and he is missing what other Yodas tend to have, and that's Master of the Force 3. So that's definitely a tricky one to kind of figure out how to do. I think I'm going to leave him. I'm going to put it top of A tier, and I'll think about putting it back into S tier. But he's great Yoda. A lot of fun. Well, probably one of my favorites. Yeah, very similar to the Clone Strike Yoda. Actually, they're not terribly different. The Clone Strike Yoda, in my opinion, has a better commander effect. It has Master of the Force 3, but this one maybe has some other more all-around useful things. Jedi Battlemaster, these guys are A tier. I'm going to put them just behind Yoda. For 27 points, you have excellent stats, and then you have basically a variety of versatile Force powers. These guys remind me of the Jedi Weapons Master from Champions of the Force, but just better, basically. And those were already good. So these guys are nice with melee. They have awesome powers here that are just useful for a lot of things, moving and making 2 attacks, having, block and deflect, which is so strange they don't just have lightsaber defense, because that was introduced in this set, but whatever. And then Force Leap, which is, it's okay to throw in there, doesn't hurt. So I think these things are A tier. They might even be S tier, honestly. They're so good. But I think A tier for a non-unique character or whatever I think that's totally fair. But if you put them in S tier, I almost wouldn't, I wouldn't mind that at all. Very strong. Jedi Crusader. So with Jedi Crusaders, I don't think these guys are quite as cool, honestly. They're not bad though. Where did I put them before? I think I put them in B tier. They're interesting. So they have solid stats. They have double attack. They can make Malak or Revan be in your squad, which can be pretty cool. Like, it can give the New Republic, the Old Republic, a big boost. So sometimes they have good characters, but sometimes they kind of miss that top end character. So that can be kind of cool. And their Force powers are all right. In melee situations, they're definitely solid. They're probably better than the Jedi Sentinel, honestly, because these guys have block and they have push. They're pretty solid. I think these are pretty solid. Man, this is tough. I don't feel like putting these guys top of, I don't feel like putting them in A tier. I'm going to put them in B tier. I did think they're pretty cool. honestly. Being able to bring Malik and Revan's pretty strong. I might be undervaluing them, putting them in B tier, but um, I don't have very much experience with these guys anyway. But they seem pretty nice, for a melee piece. Jedi Exile. In my opinion, Jedi Exile is S tier. So my reasoning for this is a few different things, actually. For 49 points, I believe he's the cheapest character in the game to have this specific commander effect. Other people have variations on it that might be similarly cheap, but to give allies, all allies within 6 squares extra attack is really strong. One of the best, in my opinion, one of the best commander effects in the game. And the fact that it's allies is good too. And he only costs 49, so it's not like you're spending 70 points just to get that commander effect. Solid things here. He's got some really strong things. So empathy, which that can actually be pretty cool, especially with Savage and this commander effect. You can give certain Savage characters a lot of extra power. And then he's good with lightsaber defense, so melee's pretty solid. And then another cool thing too is he's got renewal and he's got great powers, expensive powers, but great powers. He has a good defensive power with repulse to kind of blast people away. Force defense is fantastic. So I think this guy just has so many interesting things working for him. He's definitely S tier for me. Votozoisk Boss, he is A tier. I'm going to put him just below these ones though. I do like how he has Force Spirit, although it's the weakest version of it. But I do like how he also has Master of the Force 2 and Alter. And so he's good at melee because he has parry and so forth. But at the same time, with Force Alter, he can really get enemies to miss a lot. So if people are trying to attack you melee, you can really screw them up. So I think when it comes to melee, he's kind of underrated. Great attack, solid defense, parry, Force Alter. So when it comes to melee situations, he's going to be so hard to bring down. But unfortunately, with ranged attacks, he does have good defense, but he doesn't have a whole lot of stuff kind of holding him up against that type of a situation. But the cool thing is with Force Spirit 4, you can definitely boost somebody, which would be great. So I think he's clearly an A tier. Darth Maul, Sith Apprentice. I will go back to this guy though. Unlike maybe Obi-Wan Kenobi or Qui-Gon Jinn, who have Force Spirit, this guy can really kind of get into a situation, especially a melee one, and just stay alive and do so much damage before he dies, which is really nice. I don't think those other guys could do that as much as he can, but they do have better Force Spirit to kind of compensate. Darth Maul, Sith Apprentice. This guy is pretty decent. Let's see, where would I want to stick him though? I think I'd put him in B tier. Yeah, so you have to hear me out. 43 points. His stats are a little okay. I feel like he feels a little fragile, kind of. Even for 43 points, just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Like he's missing a little bit of attack there. I do love that he has Vapid and Triple, so that's really good for melee stuff. I feel like with melee stuff, if he is doing melee things, people are going to have like over 20 defense, so it's going to be hard for him to hit things. He doesn't have very much force, so you're going to be relying on other ways of getting force powers, potentially. Maybe mixing him with Sidious or other ways, but I'm not a huge fan of him. I don't think he's a bad character by any means. He's a B tier character. I'm going to put him just below the Crusader. I like how the Crusader is cheap, good at melee, and underrated, bringing Malik and Revan into Old Republic. That can be pretty sweet. My issues with him, he feels a little weak here. Maybe a little hard for him to actually hit melee people, but he's got Vapid, Triple. That's going to be really a lot of damage. Rage is great. Riposte is solid. Night speed. I just wish he had a little bit more force, though. It's kind of rough, but he's all right. Darth Plagueis. So for 63 points, this is kind of my opinion with him. So the whole point of him is to just do powerful force corruption stuff, really, and save people. My issue with this guy is I think even with these powers, he costs too much because his stats are decent-ish. I don't know. Actually, his stats aren't all that great. Having parry is really nice, and also being able to have a lot of force is really nice. So for melee, this guy's going to be pretty sweet. It's going to be hard to take him out. And then he has these force powers, force corruption, really strong force corruption, which can be really, really nice. It kind of replaces your attacks, essentially. But they're conditional, and they can kind of just jump on top of each other. But for 63 points, though, I just don't know if I want to do that. I think it's kind of, ugh. That just feels a little expensive to me. I have him, but I haven't really used him before. I think he's got a lot of potential. He can really mess people up as a melee support piece, an expensive melee support piece. But I feel like if range people get on top of him, they can take advantage of that 20 defense that's not quite, the 21, 22, 23. And I don't see why they can't shoot him up pretty good. So I think he's a B tier character. I think he excels at what he excels at very well, but he has some clear weaknesses. Darth Sidious, Sith Master. This guy also has clear weaknesses, in my opinion. But actually, okay. So when it comes to him, hear me out. I normally don't like these types of Sidiouses as much. I prefer like the Force Battery Darth Sidiouses. However, this guy's he's a fascinating hybrid in a lot of ways, sort of. So for 57 points, he's a little bit cheaper than some of the other Sidiouses that are a little too fragile, like the ones from Champions of the Force, the Separatist one, and then just Darth Sidious, Dark Lord of the Sith. Actually, I don't remember. It's the Revenge of the Sith one. So he is still fragile like that. Bad defense, good attack. He does have triple, so kind of the standard abilities. But I do like his Force powers a lot. So he has Renewal. He's got Master of the Force 2. He's got Force Lightning. And then he has Pawn of the Dark Side. So Lightning, that's good. Pawn of the Dark Side, really good. So I think the fact that he has this is pretty strong. Yeah, very strong, especially on Sith to make someone go twice. Really cool. And is a good commander effect to get people to switch positions. I still don't know if I want to put him in A tier, though. Like, for 57 points, that's still pretty good stuff, but, like, it just feels really... he still feels really squishy, even for all these cool powers. I'll put him low A tier, though, for now. I do like that he just has better Force powers than some of these other... he has better Force powers in general than some of these other guys. I love Pawn of the Dark Side. That's great that he has that. It's like can make him pretty scary. But yeah, leave him right there. Krath War Droid, nah, he's going to be the first C tier. I don't care for these guys. They got great attack. Not a whole lot of hit points though, so they could go down quick. And they're droids on Sith, which doesn't go all that well. Nagasato, I think he is very, very strong, especially when you look at everything he has to offer. So let's see, Nagasato, it's going to be the second S tier. Fantastic stats. I think these are really, really solid stats, actually. And then, yeah, great powers, double attack, and then having poison is so good. So this guy's going to be doing a good chance he'll do 40 damage to you, plus 40 damage, so it's 80 damage total. Really, really nice. So that's good offensive stuff here. And then his Force powers, this guy's got a whole plethora of great powers. So Force Storm, again, I'm not crazy about Force Storm. I never have been, but if the situation arises where you need it, great. Illusion, awesome. Master of the Force 2, awesome. And then Sith Sorcery. So this is kind of crazy. So Sith Sorcery is already, in my opinion, a fantastic Force power. You can just kind of blast everyone's activations, and you can still attack. Illusion, fantastic defensive one. And you have Master of the Force 2, so you can use it twice. So this guy has excellent defense. He has excellent powers to basically kind of manipulate the phases of the game. And he has fantastic offense. So I think this guy excels in so many different ways. Really, really cool. Sith Apprentice. These guys are also pretty solid. I think the Apprentice and the Lord are both pretty decent. This guy's not quite as good as the other one, though. I'm going to put these guys the bottom of B tier for now. I think I still prefer these other ones more than them. So, there's the Lord. There's the Apprentice. Pretty solid for 22 points, though. Ooh, that might be too low. Man, if you really look at these things, for 22 points, you have pretty good stats. Normal stuff here. Grip and throw. I don't know if I like those as much. I might bump these guys above Darth Maul. Man, these are pretty good. If you just think about how cheap they are, similarly for how some of the other characters are, that's pretty strong stuff right there. The defense is a hair low, but that's pretty good. Sith Lord, I like these more, so I'm going to stick them just above. The reason I like him more is they have slightly better stats. Well, actually, I take that back. Better defense, but much better force powers. Like Force Lightning 2, I'd much rather have that. Assault is nice. So they're both kind of different, but let's go Sith Lords, I think, a little bit better, but I'll put them both in B tier. Really nice. And Antarian Ranger, also pretty solid. I think this guy's also going to be a B tier. I'll put him low B tier. I know he's a lot of flexibility. He can be on a lot of teams. And he has a great synergy, so he can be very strong when he's in the right situation. So I think I may actually have to bump him up. So for 12 points, great shooter, synergy is easy to go. He's also got stealth, +4 attack, +4 defense. Well, allocate that force. Woo! So it can be 11 and 19 on top of having cover. I'm gonna actually put these guys. I might even have to put them bottom of A tier. I think they're really good because they can be on new or old or regular Republic. That's really good. And it's very easy to get their stats very high and very scary. These are really good support pieces for just 12 points. So I'm going to put them low A tier. I think that's pretty strong. Yeah, that's really strong. Dark Woman, she's also an A tier character. As you can tell, there's a lot of good characters in Jedi Academy. So for 21 points, incredible stats. But she is missing, she is going to be missing double attack, which is good to have that kind of balance. I still think she's a little bit too cheap, though, personally, even for having these good stats. Light Tutor's nice to throw in there, so she's a very fascinating character, how she has Light Tutor. And then Cloaked, I think that's pretty cool. Then Phase is also fun to be able to go through walls. I don't own her, but she seems like she'd be pretty sweet. So I think even for 21 points, I don't think she's necessarily S tier because she doesn't really have any offense going for her, but she's very fascinating. Great stats. Cool to be able to use these interesting force powers to remain hidden. And Tutor's awesome. So I think the Dark Woman, I'm sure you could make a great argument to put her higher. I still think the Jedi Battlemaster is just wild. So I'm going to keep it where it is. I'll put Dark Woman. I'm not going to quite, is the Dark Woman S tier though? No. High. I think for 21 points though, the Dark Woman is just so powerful. Even without any offense, very strong. Heavy Clone Trooper, not a fan. Not a fan, unfortunately. I'm going to put these in D tier. I know you can make them work. Of course you can, but they're not my cup of tea. Master Crook, for 52 points, you have incredible stats. Tanky, beat stick, and then avoid defeat's nice to throw in there. Probably won't work, but it's nice to have. Heal, so this guy's limited force powers, and he has decent force powers. He does have decent force powers, but they're a little limited, so I think a lot of this guy's cost is coming from his very impressive stats and having avoid defeat. Don't get me wrong, deflect's useful, leap can be useful, force heal, okay. But I think he's pretty good overall. I'm gonna probably still put him in A tier. I'm gonna put him low A tier though. The only reason for that is his force powers are okay, but they don't scare me necessarily. But they're interesting. They're useful in various circumstances. Avoid defeat, it doesn't scare me either. His defense is something you can totally exploit, but the tankiness and the 30 damage is pretty powerful. So I think he's worth a very low A tier, but maybe not. Actually, I'm going to bump him just below Plagueis. I think I'd rather have Plagueis than this guy. Really cool. I love the tankiness, but I think that's kind of all he has going for him. Jedi Trainer, also very solid character. The thing with him is he has pretty solid stats for 24. He's got a Taru style, so that's nice to throw in, I suppose. His force powers are whatever. His commander effect's nice, though, so you can your allied force characters who have like kind of a suboptimal attack, and there's a few out there, not too many, but there's a few. He can bump that up, and it's allies. So I think this guy's pretty underrated for kind of what he does. In my original tier list, I hope I tiered him well. In my original tier list I made in preparation for this, where is he? Put him in B tier. How do I feel about that? For 24, that's really good. His force powers, Jedi Mind Trick is nice. Force Push 1's whatever. That's okay. I do like that commander effect. There are situations he can make it really good. I'm going to grab him and stick him. Where is he? Man, I almost don't feel like B tier is appropriate for him though. I think he's better than that. I think this is really good to have this commander effect that can be pretty cool for certain characters. Jedi Mind Trick. And I just think these are really good stats for 24. I'm going to put him at the very top of B tier. I really like kind of what he's got going on here. Although it does mean you have to use maybe a little bit weaker Jedi, but he can make him strong. So that's pretty nice. Younglings, meh. I don't think these things are that great. So for 5 points, though, you do get somebody with very low attack, okay defense. They can be Old Republic, which can be nice. They have deflect. So I think for a 5, these are actually not that bad, to be honest, for a 5. I don't love them, so I'm going to put them in C tier, though, just to kind of spare them of D tier, because that is really cheap. But, yeah. Again, these guys could be pretty good with Qui-Gon Jinn, maybe. Rocket Battle Droid, you know me. I don't like these things that much. There's many other options I'd prefer to use, so I'll put them at the bottom. Disciple of Ragnos. So I personally feel like these things are wild. So you're not going to use their melee attack at all. So they're really just 50 hit points, 17 defense. And then nice force powers. Corruption, awesome. Lightning, awesome. These guys are excellent supports to really just mess up your opponent. I really, really like these things a lot. Maybe too much, but I love how they have 2 extremely potent offensive force powers. And yeah, mix them in certain squads with like Darth Sidious or just Emperor Palpatines, I should say. And I really like these. So I'm a little biased. I'm going to put them in A tier, just above the Antarian Ranger. I know they're a little expensive, I guess, for 20 points, but I'm a big fan of what they have to offer. Big fan. Especially if you have a couple of these guys, you can do some work. So I'm going to stick Do I really want to put them in A tier, though? Oh, that sounds so strange. I'll put them bottom of A tier. Maybe I'll put them down here, actually. I think I like Qui-Gon Jinn Jedi Trainer just a little bit more. Ah, man. I had them in A tier originally. I'm going to put them right in B tier. Really nice. I love what they have to offer, but they may be a little too squishy. They may die a little bit quickly for just 20 points, but pretty cool. Sentinel. These things are fun. So I know this might sound ridiculous, but I'm going to put them bottom of A tier just for a couple reasons. So they're fast. They're super expensive, but fast. They have melee reach 2, which can be great for attack of opportunity situations. And their stats, their raw stats are crazy. So to have 160 hit points, to have 40. I once ran 2 of these with Thrawn one time. And it was so much fun because they were just switching positions. They were using Opportunist. They were doing 50 damage per smack. And they were just kind of moving around to like, one was in the front attacking, the other one to move back and, get healed with somebody or be in a less vulnerable situation. And I just think for their raw stats, kind of like the bulk loader droid, T1 bulk loader droid, just incredible stats. Very, very strong stats. They're quick. Melee reach 2 is nice. And they're kind of a canvas. You can put a lot of cool stuff onto them. So big fan, but they are expensive. So I can't get too crazy with them. Reborns, these guys are C tier. They are not actually that bad, to be honest with you, so I'm going to put them top of C tier. For 9 points, it's actually pretty good for melee. Honestly, it's not bad. Having deflect's all right. I don't think I'd really see very many instances to use one, but for 9 points, that's actually pretty sweet. Stormtroopers, I'm going to put them bottom of B tier. I love how cheap they are and high defense and what you can add to them. Anakin Solo, 23 points. Pretty good defense for the solos. A little bit weaker, I'd say, in general than his brother and sister. But he's got some other cool things going for him. So his synergy is much more useful. That's good. Industrial Repair 30 is pretty cool. So if you mix him with those mounted weapon teams, he can be pretty fun. And then his force powers are awesome. He can use Unleash the Force several times. He's got block, so you can get him into a position, blast people. Force push is all right. I think Anakin Solo is awesome. I think he's really awesome. So I'm going to put him bottom, kind of somewhere in A tier. I'm not sure where. I don't think he's S tier. I think even for 50 hit points, like you can maybe knock him out a little quick, and maybe he isn't going to use his powers as much as you want. But he's A tier, so I'm going to stick him just behind Sidious, Sith Master. Pretty strong. Cade Skywalker Padawan. This guy is similarly, I'm going to put him in B tier though. So for 20 points, I'm not crazy about his attack. He doesn't have a way to modify it by himself, so not crazy about the attack or the defense actually. Those kind of make me feel yikes. Essence of Life is cool, so this guy's definitely a great support, a good support piece to keep your team alive, to keep them running. And for that, I think that's strong. For that, I'm going to definitely put him in high B tier. Yeah, let's do something up here just like that. So I don't think this is. I think this is a good spot. I think him acting as a support piece is really strong, and he's really good at it too. So I'll leave him there. Exceptional Jedi Apprentice. This guy's literally Jaden from Jedi Academy. If you just look at his powers and kind of what he has to offer, what he looks like. For 24 points, I actually don't know if I love these guys all that much. So it's interesting how they have Impulsive Jedi Hunter. So if you can get a if you can get a unique character to die pretty quick, they become pretty scary as like an anti, Force user person. So on this condition, if you can make a trigger, you'll have 30 damage, you'll have 12 attack. That's really good. Not a lot of hit points though, but you'll have renewal, block, speed, push. So I think if you set him up correctly, to be able to use kind of what he's got going on here with the Jedi Hunter, he can be excellent as like an anti-melee piece. But again, it's a conditional thing, and if for some reason it just doesn't work out that way immediately, then he's a little, I don't know, I feel like he's a little underpowered, especially in the attack department and defense department, but pretty good. I'm going to put these guys, I do like them a lot. You got to get them kind of up and running though. So I'm going to stick him, I think they are a B tier. Man, I mean, you guys are probably get on me about this B tier I have going on here, because these are all pretty good guys. But like, I think they're balanced well enough because they have very clear weaknesses. They have very clear weaknesses, but they're very strong at certain things. I think he is going to be, for 24 points, the exceptional. I like him more than these two. Yeah, even though these guys probably have better stats, he's got Force Renewal. He's got really good ways of defending himself in melee. He's fast, Force Push, and then if you can set up Jedi Hunter, you can get into a position to really wreck people pretty strong. So I like that more. Grandmaster Luke Skywalker. So I think he's an S tier. I know he costs that bazillion right here, but he's always a problem to play against. He really is. He's the answer to everything. He has the best stats. He can attack 6 times, essentially. Gemso Style Mastery is a nightmare because of Twin Attack. So if you try to take him out with a strong melee piece, you'll probably get killed within 1 or 2 turns. You may do some damage, maybe not. Force powers, he's got the essentials, and that's really what you need. Force defense, lightsaber defense. He's even got Master Speed, and each ally with the Force Rating gets Force Renewal. Oh my gosh. So he's S tier. I don't understand why on earth this guy's not very rare. It never made any sense to me at all, but I'm sure maybe someone one of you guys out there may know why. So he's amazing. He's incredible. Even though he's 115 points, he's still worth it. So that's all I can say. Cole Skywalker, pretty solid, really nice stats. Good in the melee, fantastic in the melee. Kind of that lightsaber dueling. And his force powers are also pretty good. Again, block, excellent for melee. Precision, excellent for melee. Master of the Force 2, Force Push 2. So I think this piece, I originally put him a little bit too low. I put him in my original tier list. Actually, no, I didn't do him too low. I was smart. I think he's top of A tier, not S tier, but I think what he can do as a melee piece, he doesn't really have a whole lot going for him in terms of like other interesting interesting powers, maybe to deal with range characters or maybe to like manipulate activations. But as a melee person, this guy is about as good as it gets. It's literally as good as it gets when it comes to, a melee thing. So very, very cool. A very cool character. He's not S tier, but like, I think as a melee character, he excels big time, maybe even more so than some of these other people. Kyle Katarn, Combat Instructor. Let's see. What do we got going on with this guy here? He's not as good as the other one, I think. So for 46 points, great stats. Again, really good at melee fighting, just like Cole Skywalker, actually. Um, Lightsaber duelist. Disruptive is nice, but it's not like something you always want to bank on. Block's great, riposte is great. So, geez, this guy's got a lot of things that are similar to Cole Skywalker. Wow, he's so many things. He's got better defense and duelist. He's got better attack. He's got one less of this. They have the same powers, pretty much. Not exactly, but kind of. And he gains allies will gain lightsaber duelist. So that's an interesting one. I don't think that's the best commander effect ever, but considering that you can bring in actually it's allies, so you don't even have to be force users, so you can really bump up people's you can really bump up people's defense against Jedi people in a pretty good way. This guy's clearly an A tier, but I think Cole Skywalker is better and cheaper at what he does even than he is. But he's definitely an A tier character for sure. I'm going to put him just below. I like him a little bit more. If I want a character to do what Cole Skywalker does, I'll choose him. I'm not going to choose this guy. So I think Cole's fantastic at the melee, and I'll put him up there. Leia Skywalker Jedi Knight. So Leia Skywalker Jedi Knight, she is my other S tier, and I think she might be one of the best characters in this set. So I'm going to put her just behind her brother. So for 25 points, her stats are solid even for 25. But the thing that really just sends her over the edge to me is her force powers and her commander effect. So Force 2 and Renewal 1, great. So she has Absorb, that's a nice power. Sense, awesome power, that's kind of a Leia thing. Lightsaber Throw 2, pretty awesome for just kind of getting that range attack. And then her commander effect is incredible. Yoda has this one too from Clone Strike, but he's so expensive. So each ally, any ally within 6 squares can each reroll a failed save. Personally, I just feel like that is so incredible because it's, in my opinion, one of the better commander effects in the entire game. There's a lot of instances where you need to make saves, and if you can get people to survive in those situations, to win in those situations, then and there's a lot of them, then that can be pretty wild. So I think those make her one of the best support characters in the game. Crimson Nova Bounty Hunter, pretty decent. Against unique Jedi, these guys will be pretty good because they'll have Jedi Hunter, Cunning Attack, Bounty Hunter. It all just adds up for a good shot, but that's really all you're banking on is a good shot. So I think they're C tier. I know they have a lot of powers to kind of make them look all sparkly, but I can kind of see past it. However, I will put them at the top. I think this is all pretty cool. And they're fringe, so you can put them on a lot of squads. The Felucian, these guys are interesting. They're very cheap, but they have interesting powers. For a 7, they have Force Blast, so that's kind of cool to kind of maybe guarantee some damage almost. Maybe not guarantee it. Having Parry at cost 7 is pretty cool. Their defense is pretty solid, so I think these guys, for what they are, for costing 7, are kind of strong. I don't know how crazy you want to get with these. For only costing 7 points, they have Parry and Force Blast. I mean, they don't hit by 20 damage. That's really strong. Huh. I don't know. I'm going to put them bottom of B tier. I just think their cheapness mixed with having Parry and 8 force power. So, and they have a force rating too, so that's cool. HK50, so these guys are basically just a slightly better version of HK47. So the difference between him and HK47 is these have 10 more hit points. They have Opportunist instead of Cunning Attack, and the other guy has Flamethrower, which is maybe a little unnecessary. These guys are pretty good. The fact that they have a little bit more hit points, they're incredible with the Separatists, of course. Incredible with the Separatists, which to me would lead them to be in B tier. They're not necessarily A tier for me. I still think even for 30 points, maybe you can kind of knock them down a bit, but I really like them a lot, though. I'm going to stick them... Where do I stop? I like these guys a little bit more. I'm going to stick them right ahead of Plagueis. I just think their potential, especially on the Separatists, is through the roof. But on their own, they're really good on their own, but they're just kind of banking on one strong shot, and that's not bad either. Jinsari Defender, I unfortunately I had to put these guys probably down here in C tier. They look amazing. They have one of the coolest sculpts in the game. But for a 45, okay, these stats are not up to par with a 45 at all. Even a 45 that had like no powers, or even a ton of powers. I don't think his defense is good, so I'll give him that. But 90 hit points is bad, even with force attuned armor. So this guy, he does a few things. He's basically like a kind of like a bodyguard of sorts. They can do some work in the melee with precision and double attack. They do have draw fire, deflect, and attuned armor that work together. So you'll have, you can, if you have a piece you want to protect, they're very expensive protectors. 45 is just insane to me. They can force people to shoot you. If they do shoot you, you can use your force attuned armor, and you can also use deflect as well. So they're, I think, a really interesting gadget to act as a bodyguard. However, they're extremely expensive at doing that, and so unfortunately for me, for that reason, I'm going to have to I'm going to put them in C tier. I know that sounds a little harsh, but if these guys cost like 30, they'd be worth it, or just 10 less. I just don't think they're worth it. I think they cost way too much money, way too much cost. They might be, in my opinion, I think these guys might be the most overcosted character in the entire game, maybe. But they're cool. I love their powers. I love their kind of concept, but that's too much for me. Peace Brigade Thug, whatever. Yusan Vong get a +1 attack for each character with Yusan Vong collaborate within 4 squares of the target. So if you mix in a couple of these guys, they can help improve the Yusan Vong's lousy attack. I'm going to put them bottom of C tier, and the reason for that is because that is really helpful for Yusan Vong, and they're really cheap, and they're ranged. So if you mix in a couple of these guys just kind of in the back of a Yusan Vong army to kind of help them out a little bit, that's good. But the Yusan Vong tend to have other people that can do that already. People who can give cunning attack, people who can give momentum, and other such powers. But I think that is helpful for that team, so I'll put them in C tier. R4 Astromech Droid. So Astro Droids I typically like to have override, but targeting is really good. I think targeting is a pretty decent power, honestly. So to be able to kind of sit in the back, choose someone, they have bad defense, this is a much better power than flanking support. Flanking support is not worth it compared to having targeting. So for that reason, I think these guys are B tier. I'm going to put them down here in B tier. Yep, right here in B tier. I really like targeting. It can be very helpful. Use at the beginning of the round. It makes it easy for your people to hit a target that you really want to knock out. I like it. Deathwatch Raider. These guys are a little tricky. So they have solid stats for 15. Cunning attack's great. Mobile attack's great. These are really nice. But Internal Strife is just kind of a head scratcher. It's kind of fun flavor, for an RPG like this. But unfortunately, like having that power is really scary and really like, yikes! You don't want these guys kind of going AWOL on you, because if they do, they'll be in your face. They can use their mobility and their cunning attack to be a problem. It is a low chance it will happen, but for that reason, I'm going to stick these guys down here. Other than that power, they're actually pretty nice, pretty cool. Praetorite Vong Priest. So I don't care for these as much. There are other Yusan Vong that can improve damage and such. Well, I don't know. So they're 18. All their 4 is for scarification. So wounded Yusan Vong allies within 6 squares get +4 attack, +10 damage. So the thing I have a hard time with this is you're depending on your guys to be hurt. This isn't really going to work for the warriors and the cheap characters that might fill up your squad. This is really for maybe some of those more impressive ones, like the Praetorite Vong Warrior, the Jedi Hunter, Osis Guardian, which can be really good for them. But if you're counting on your guys to be basically like hurt to get this, and he takes points from your squad and he doesn't defend himself at all, I just don't know how I feel about these. I'm going to put him in C tier down. I'm going to put him just below Reborn. I think this power has a lot of potential to help and be good, and it's necessary for Yusan Vong, who are typically weak. But I don't know. I just don't like these conditions for what I'm trying to get. Praetorite Vong Warrior. these guys are pretty good. So for 22 points, you have solid stats. Crab Armor 11, that's good. Twin, and Cunning 20, and Thudbug. So Thudbug's always great where if like there's a situation, you can't get up there, you can at least do 10, do the activation. That could be nice. And I really, really like that he's Cunning 20 because he makes him a very scary character if he gets the initiative. I like these a lot. So I'm going to stick these guys. They're not A tier necessarily to me. I still think, are they A tier? I think Praetorian Vong Warrior might be one of the best Yuuzhan Vong just warriors that they have available at their disposal. Let's see, the Osu's Guardian's worse. Kind of. No, they're different. I think these guys are really good. I'm going to put them for 22 points. You can do pretty good stuff. And I like how they have Cunning Attack. Man, I kind of like these things. Is A tier correct for them? No, I think the Osu's Guardian's better. Yeah, it kind of is. Okay. Does he have Thudbug? No, he doesn't. He's a Razor Bug. These are both really good guys. So I'm going to put them right below the Crusader. A B tier. Okay, so they're really good. Definitely one of the more important non-unique characters for Yuuzhan Vong. I just don't feel like I can stick him maybe above some of these characters. Cunning Attack, it is conditional on you going first, but that's not like it's too hard to make that work out for you. Crab Armor is awesome. They only cost 22 though. That's pretty dang good. I might just keep bumping these things up. And then the next you have the Osu's Guardian, which is better stats. Crab Armor 6, which is even better. Twin Attack, which is great, just like the other guy. This guy's Razor Bug, which I both like. I think I dislike Razor Bug as much because it doesn't have the activating component. Jedi Hunter can be really helpful. It can be, depending on which squad you put him on. And then he can be on New Republic, which is kind of fun. I don't know. If you put him on New Republic and put him with like Wedge Antilles, then these guys are kind of, crazy. But I think these guys, I like these guys just a little bit more. I'm going to put them together with the Praetorian Vong Warrior. I like them just a little bit more. A little more flexible. Well, actually, they're less flexible. I take that back. They have better hit points. I like the better Crab Armor. I do like that they do have Razor Bugs. They can use it. Jedi Hunter kind of pins them in a corner a little bit. So it makes them maybe a little bit less damaging, potentially, than what this guy can do. So I tell you what, I'll put him down one. This guy has well enough defenses, and a Cunning Attack is more flexible. So I'll have to put it above here. I think that does it. Man, this is a tough one to rank. These are really good sets, as you can tell, a lot of top characters. I still feel like maybe these two could go in here, but I just think Cole Skywalker is awesome. So these are my 4 S tier, very strong characters. These A tier characters are all fantastic in their own right. I'd say these ones up top are probably in a different class than these ones down here, but they're all pretty powerful. Great B tier characters. I know it may seem a little controversial to have Plagueis this low, but I'm just not a fan of how expensive he is. And how vulnerable he is to attacking from range targets. Range targets can just mow him apart. But against melee, he's a different story. And this guy, he's a beat stick, but he has his weaknesses too. So these B tier characters are really they're really good at something, but really bad at other things, which I've noticed. They're not just as well rounded. And yeah, great sculpt, but the fact that they cost 400 points to bring into your squad is not worth it to me. So anyway, I hope you guys stayed around, check this whole thing out. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this set. I really, really like the characters in this set. Really cool, Force users especially. And I have most of these characters. They're really fun. One of the ones I'm missing is I'm missing Nagasado, and I really would love to collect him someday. Other than that, I have almost everybody else, but fantastic characters. After this, I'll be doing, I believe the next set I'll be doing is Galaxy at War, which is a return to Clone Wars, and has some pretty cool characters in there as well. Very similar to like a Clone Wars. It's like the Clone Wars 2.0 set, basically. But I'll be doing that one after this. And yeah, anyways, I'll see you next time.